Hey gang, welcome back to Tin Man Customs. We're getting ready to roll on another project, and this time we're going to do something with this little guy. This was Titans Return Clobber, which cool little figure in his own. Right, one of the little Titan Masters. The T-Rex and the little guy here, and turns into a head that looks very much like our Grimlock. So I think we're gonna pull in this guy and we're gonna make a Grimlock headmaster. Don't know that Grimlock would ever really agree to be a headmaster, but maybe he would in Titans Return line. And so Clobber is actually Grimlock. I think we'll be able to make a port pretty easily on this this mold. This is the War for Cybertron, or Fall of Cybertron Grimlock from the video game line. And I always liked his robot mode here. Definitely. Very cool, bulky, strong. Even compared to the Deluxes and the Voyager figures coming out now, he still looks really powerful. And so I really like that look, especially for a Grimlock figure. Now, there might be a few things here that I have to end up tightening up on him to get him to work quite right, because I've got a lot of loose shoulders, that sort of thing. One thing I did not really care about on this guy was right there. Did not ever really care for that dino head. It didn't quite feel like the G1 dino head to me, or the way he looked in the cartoon, which I always liked the cartoon. This poor guy. This is one of the figures I had as a kid, and he's pretty loose, pretty beat up. He does have new repo labels on him, so I liked him being a little more cleaned up. It's got a broken hinge there, but he still transforms alright. I mainly have him here to look at for some color references as I go along painting this guy. So we'll set him over here to watch us work the whole time. So, didn't really like that. I'm not planning on having to do any resculpting on this. I might. I'll leave that as a backup plan. What I think I'm going to do is take this Generations Deluxe Grimlock figure, which, you know, he's okay. He was never one of my favorite figures. There's elements of him that were really cool. If he was a Voyager, like a bigger figure, I may have just been fine with that. But what I did like on this guy, piece this together a little real quick. What I did really like on this guy was his head, and maybe even the arms here. So I think what I'm going to do is try and cut this off and mount that on this guy, I believe. That's what I'm going to do. Looks like there's pins and hinges there. So I'm either going to try and replace this whole upper section on him, or I will just cut it off here at the neck and attach him here. Whichever ends up looking like it's going to work. These claws are okay. They're fine. But these ones are a little more dynamic. But these ones might be nice and G1 looking. So we'll find out. We'll see what we're going to do here. That's a lot of cutting and piecing things together. So this may blow up in my face, but I'm hoping not. Oh, when he is in, this will come out later in the video, when he's in dino mode here, there's a huge cavity that's all left open where his dinosaur mode doesn't have any kind of chest whatsoever. To give a place for the headmaster to ride and this extra bit of dinosaur that also turns into a weapon. This, I was doing some placement in there earlier when I was figuring this out. I can make him fit into the cavity there, and it'll help close off the whole chest and underbelly of the dinosaur mode. So that's another plan for this. So we'll see how well this all works. So right now we're going to get this all cleared out of the way. These two. And get this guy taken apart. So we've got this guy all split up, and between all the stuff that's going to get silver spray over here, and here's all the stuff that I'm going to spray with gold over here. Got it all masked off, and I'm going to spray the center of the head there. On this piece here, his chest piece, oops. On his chest piece here, I'm going to go ahead and spray it all gold, and then I'll have to cut this nubbin off and make a port for the headmaster. I'm going to have to add some styrene in here because I think that panel is just too thin to use as a connector. So we'll add that on there. This I'm going to go ahead and paint it gold before I go in and add on this chunk here that is going to be able to make the connection easier. So I'm going to go ahead and take these parts out and get this all spray painted gold. And here they all are, spray painted gold. I'm really digging the sheen on this. I like the way it looks with the dino parts here. I've already drilled a hole in here. That's just my starter hole because it doesn't quite fit with the head. So I'm going to have to carve that out a little bit more to make that fit a little better. Also going to paint this part red eventually. Alright, and off camera I cut these pieces up with a Dremel tool. Cut it off of this other head here and put it together with some Fix-It Sculpt, and that's kind of all kind of glommed in there right now. Let it dry overnight, and now I got to go in and kind of carve some of the details into that and sand it all down. So but by using this piece I'm even going to be able to snap that back together and have all the joints and the connection ports on the pieces there, which makes that a lot easier. And we're going to slip into fast forward while we do all that work.
Alright, so I've got the silver all spray painted on everything here, and so what I'm starting to do here is a wash over the whole thing, because the silver really looks neat, but it's just a little too bright and shiny for Grimlock's parts. So what I'm using is my gunmetal gray paint, and I've watered it down a lot. Like, so it's really runny and kind of messy, and I will paint over a little bit of a section at a time here, as you can see, and then I take a piece of paper towel and I'll wipe it off lightly, but wipe back over the piece after just a few, not even a few seconds after I've got the whole thing painted. And I try to brush it all in the same direction per part, so it'll look consistent once I'm done with the paint on there. And I might go back at some point and, like I say, reapply another wash over it if you want it to be a little darker. And let's see here, this one I was trying to be very careful with the head and chest part, so I didn't have to go back and repaint the gold on it yet again. But it turned out really nice, and the darker gunmetal will stay in some of the crevices as you wipe everything else off. Kind of a nice look to it. So now that that's all done, let's get him put back together.
Alright gang, here he is, all cleaned up, all finished up, and I gotta say I'm really excited about this one. He looks very cool in person. I really like the wash I did over the silver. Silver was very cool looking, but very shiny, a little too shiny for his overall look. So going over with I used a gunmetal gray for the wash, which looking at him, I might down the road go back and do another wash over it just to darken all of these bits a little bit more. I painted the teeth silver, left the arms silver, and then the tail tip silver, but that was to mimic more of what the original Grimlock had going on. And as he had the gold chrome, the silver chrome arms, and the silver tip. This is my original Grimlock from when I was a kid. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. So very loose limbs. So may have to see if I can try and fix that. I've tried fixing it a few times, but it stays loose. But yeah, he was one of my favorite characters as a kid, next to Optimus Prime. But Grimlock was awesome because who wouldn't want a giant dinosaur robot? I was a huge fan of like the Godzilla stuff as a kid as well, so this kind of feels a little Godzilla with his proportions, but I'm okay with that because I did not care for the upper body of the dino mode of this particular figure. And that's not a slight against the designers on the video game. I just didn't care for that look. I liked this one a little bit better. So here he is in his dino mode and his Titan Master. Since there isn't really a port for him to ride in a vehicle mode or anything like that, I went ahead and stuck him up inside there to help with some of the hollow chest abdomen syndrome that this particular figure has going on. Now, I didn't really modify anything inside there at all to accommodate that. He just fits in there. Now, it's not super tight, but you can give him a little bit of shake and he stays in there. So I might try and install like some magnets in the behind the chest plate here of Grimlock and on the chest plate of the little extra dino. That might help hold him in a little better, but you know, he just pops out and there he is in his little beast mode, and the Titan Master's on the inside there. So now you got two Grimlocks running around, two dinosaurs. Grimlock spent a lot of time in his dino mode in the cartoon, so this kind of makes sense that he would still be tromping around in this mode. And then he's got his little buddy down here as an extra dino. Almost held together better. That's just another issue with this particular figure, is the hips / shoulders are a little wonky when he's in beast mode. So having that guy stuffed up in the center of his abdomen helps hold that together. I did repaint this guy as well. I painted all the yellow on him, turned it gold to match the gold on Grimlock, and I gotta say, I really like that gold on it. Not usually a big fan of metallics or chromes, that sort of thing on, but this particular figure, I just really dig it. It looks really nice. Let's get the Titan Master out here. So, not really going to use the dragon mode on this vehicle beast thing that came with him, but I will use his weapon mode, because on the original Grimlock toy he had a double-barreled blaster and a sword. I don't have that on my figure anymore to show you the comparison of the two weapons, but yeah, sorry. Little difficult doing this from the side, but he's got a blaster here which will double as Grimlock's blaster in just a moment when we get him transformed. But I went ahead, let's get this focused on him, threw some paint on Clobber here. I almost thought about painting this guy up like Wheelie, since Grimlock and Wheelie were kind of pals in the 86 movie and beyond, but since they already had a decent Titans Return Wheelie, oops, hello, focus, there we go. Since they already had one of these guys going on, I didn't really see the point in making a little Titan Master version of Wheelie. So he'll keep his name as Clobber. Now, his head mode. On the actual Clobber figure, the eyes were red. Let's see if we can get that in focus and actually in some light so you can see it. painted those blue because Grimlock's eyes were blue in the original cartoon. Back then, everybody with blue eyes was a good guy, everybody with red eyes was a bad guy. So, I like simplistic rules sometimes. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get him transformed. I had to adjust the camera there a little bit. Had it zoomed up to where that didn't really fit. So, there he is. And this Grimlock, the original, this toy, had a sword and a shield. All I did was paint a little bit of extra gunmetal on the sword. It was unpainted. I tried doing a wash on the sword and it didn't work out so hot, so I took that back off. So, shield fits in there, and his gun fits kind of loosely in there. I say loosely, and now it's jammed in there really tight. So, here he is. Let's get the G1 Grimlock transformed here as well. This normally goes pretty fast, but since he's over 30 years old, I'm going to be a little gingery with it. Alright. So, even on the original Grimlock toy, his eyes were red on the visor, but in the cartoon they were always blue. I never did paint the original one, but that's alright. So, let's scoot him over a bit and slide him in there to see. Tried going along with the color layouts the way the original one was, with the gold, the red, and the black legs. The color scheme here from blue, red, green added to that, that was from his animation model. He had solid squares of colors on his legs as opposed to all this detail work, so that's the reason I painted him like that. So, you know, he looks pretty similar to this guy, but here he is. I did a little bit of a wash of the gunmetal gray in here and along where the neck is. And the head is a tiny bit smaller than the head that was originally on this figure, but I'm okay with that because he's such a big bulky character. It kind of looks, you know, bigger and a little more heroic proportions because he's got that little bit of a pinhead, I guess, going on there. Now, coming around to the back, he does have dinosaur kibble on his back. Now, if the original toy was not broken like on mine, let's get him back up here. You can see he had a big dino head on his back as well. So I'm okay with there being a big dino head hanging off of his back. The head assembly that was a lot stubbier that came on this figure, it kind of folded up and went inside the chest cavity, which was cleaner, but again, like I said, I like this head much better than the other one. So overall, there he is. I hope you guys like him because I really like this figure. He's one of my favorites so far from the ones I've done. So give me a thumbs up if you like him. Put some comments down there. I'd be curious to see what you guys think of it. And if you really like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, and you can follow me along on Instagram at tinman_customs, and I will go ahead and get started on my next custom. Thanks a lot for stopping by, guys.